If you're in a bit of a panic about EVs taking over the world and good old-fashioned cars going away, well, fear not, because Hyundai have given us a go-kart for the road. This is the i20N. Welcome to Four Wheels in a Seat. My name is Alex Dalrymple. This is my channel where I review new cars every week for people who are looking to buy a new car and don't know which one to get. Although if you're watching this particular review, you probably have some idea about what you're going to see in a moment. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, the notification bell. If you enjoy the video, please do give me a like. Hyundai have not brought in the regular i20 into Australia for about the last 3 years or so. The i20N is the only one you can get, and that is fantastic because it is brilliant. And look at it. It actually, I think, looks better than its larger brother, the i30N. It's sharper, looks more contemporary. It's sort of a cross between the i30 hatchback and the i30 sedan. So I've got the big blacked out Hyundai logo here, big sort of honeycomb style grille, these lights that are swooped back, fog lights down the bottom there, the N red trim that extends all the way around the vehicle. This is the Performance Blue color, which is a no-cost option. You can get a few other colors that you can pay extra for, but the signature color is free. On the wheels, we've got 18-inch rims with a very nice design, big red N brake calipers there that bring the car to a stop pretty quickly. Two-tone paint job on this car, so I've got black up here on top and more of that red stripe down the bottom there. Moving around to the side here, we can see we've got a big spoiler sitting up on top, or maybe it's a wing, that might be a better term for it, but I really like the design of that. Light clusters that wrap around the side here with a little i20 logo there, looks nice, and that wraps around the back here. We've got the big diffuser down the bottom there with the all-important big exhaust that pops and crackles and makes a lovely noise, as we'll hear in a moment. Open up the boot and there is storage space in here. I don't know how big it is. I couldn't find the stats. It doesn't really matter anyway because you're not buying this car to move stuff, but you can if you need to. So that's the i20N from the outside. I think it looks pretty bloody good. Under the bonnet, you'll find the same engine that you'll see in the i30N, although here it's tuned a little bit differently. It outputs 160 kilowatts of power and 275 Newton meters of torque, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a small car. It only weighs about 1.1 tons and gets along really nicely with that. Power goes to the front wheels via a 6-speed manual transmission. Fuel economy clocks in at an average of 6.9 litres per 100 kilometres, and it will get to 100 k's per hour in just 6.2 seconds. The interior of the i20N looks nice. It's a good design. I think it's actually better than the i30, but unfortunately to the touch, not so great. A lot of plastics died to make this interior, and I can't help but think if they charged a couple of grand more, they could have perhaps put some more soft stuff on here, but there's none to be found. These seats are buckets. They're not quite racing buckets, but they do hold you in very nicely. The only thing is when you get to my age, you really do appreciate lumbar support, and there's none of that to be found here. So not so good on a long trip perhaps, but if you're hooning around the track, just fine. The interior design of the i20N is, I think, much better than the i30N, which is really starting to show its age. This interior just feels a lot more contemporary and up to the minute. Here in the center, we've got a 10.5-inch screen, which runs the same software as the i30, including the all-important N Grin mode, which gives you a lot of car information. Also has circuit information for various racetracks around the country, and a timer, plus showing your brake pressure, the amount of throttle you're giving the car, and you can also customize your N drive modes here, adjusting the sensitivity of the engine, the steering, the electronic stability control, the rev matching, the exhaust sound. There's a graphical representation of the G-forces. Launch control is also controlled through here. In terms of infotainment, there is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you will need a USB cable to use those. The sound system is a premium Bose sound system, which sounds really good, although you probably don't want to crank it too loud because that will block out the noise from the engine. There's also native navigation, so it's a really good system just in itself. Shortcut buttons underneath that. Climate controls run completely separate down here in the middle. USB-A, USB-C ports plus a 12-volt outlet. Wireless phone charging down here in the tray at the bottom. Gear shifter. Love this gear shifter. Nice and notchy, short throws, and it just feels so satisfying to use. Reverse is all the way up here and to the left. The reversing camera, by the way, there's only one camera on this car. It's pointing at the back. There's a graphical representation of the parking sensors, which is very helpful when you're parking the car, obviously. And we've got a big handbrake here, which is really only used for securing the car and nothing else, of course. In front of the driver here, we've got I think this is a nice steering wheel. It's the same as the i30N. We've got two N buttons here, one for your customizable N drive modes, and the other is just the standard N drive mode, which basically has everything turned on. All the regular drive controls here. Another 10-inch screen in front of the driver showing you a few different display modes depending on what drive mode you're in, because there are the regular drive modes in this car of normal, eco, and sport. But you know, I like it in N mode all the time. Then we get a bit of fire and it goes into this different display mode, and again, a lot of the same information that appears here on the screen in the middle appears here in front of the driver as well. Things like oil temp, engine temp. Visibility, excellent all around. Can see everything really, really clearly. There's blind spot monitors in the wing mirrors, and turning my head, vision in the blind spots is actually really good too. So yeah, this is a good interior. I like it a lot. Let's check out the back seat. My first time sitting here, and it's pretty cozy behind my own seating position. I'm 190 centimeters tall. My knee's pretty hard into the seat in front. There's actually more headroom than I thought there'd be, but having said that, my hair is still touching the ceiling, and I feel like I'm kind of jammed in here in a very upright position. But if you're shorter than I am, this is okay, I guess. There's no armrest. There's one USB-C charging port down here in the middle, and yeah, I wouldn't want to hang out here personally very much. I think I prefer the front. So the i20N is a city car, but it's also a hot hatch. And even Hyundai's official marketing line on this car is, it's all about having fun in the city. And you know, it is so nimble and dynamic and fun to drive and scoot around corners in that, you know, it is the ultimate city driving machine. But as I always say with any type of performance car that I test, there should be some sort of oath you have to take when you buy one of these cars, that you're going to take it to the track at least a few times a year and let it stretch its legs, because it's just a waste if you don't. And since it's so much fun to drive around town, I can only guess how awesome it would be out at the track. That I would love to try. Unlike the i30N, the i20N doesn't have adaptive suspension. So you get what you get and you don't get upset. But having said that, yes, it is firm, but it's not really overly firm. It's just in that sweet spot where it's dynamic enough to go around corners quickly, but also firm enough that you probably want to avoid potholes on city roads. Like all Hyundai Kia products, there's beeping to be had, and this particular car has not had the software update where you can just mute the overspeed warning by holding down the mute button on the steering wheel. You have to go into the settings on every trip to turn it off. But fortunately with this one, you can disable the beeping without completely disabling the speed sign recognition. So you can get the information on the instrument cluster just without the noise. Is the i20N a turnback car, a car so good looking that you have to turn back and look at it after you've parked it? Yeah, it is. It's really good looking. And as I said before, I think it actually is much better looking than the i30N hatch. It's a much more contemporary design. The i30N, kind of showing its age a little bit, could do with a bit of a refresh. The i30N, when you're cruising along the highway at speed, kind of has this droney kind of engine noise. I mean, the engine sounds great most of the time, but when you're just kind of sitting at the same speed for a long period of time, you get that kind of noise. That doesn't really happen here so much. There's a bit of engine drone, but it's a lot quieter. The steering, unlike the suspension, is adaptable, and I like it on its firmest setting. You know, I just go with the standard N mode when I'm driving. That turns everything up to, let's just say 11, and it feels really good and really sporty. If you want to create your own N driving mode, there are 2 custom settings you can go through and change all of those settings individually through the N green screen. I just like hitting N standard mode. That works for me. That puts the engine in Sport Plus, the steering in Sport Plus, the electronic stability control in Sport, the rev matching in Sport Plus, and the exhaust sound, most important of all, in Sport Plus. Okay, let's change down the gears here as we approach a red light, see if we can get a bit of engine popping going. Oh yeah, when you hit second gear, that's where it all happens. And if you want to turn the rev matching off, don't know why you'd do that, you've just got to hit the big red button here on the steering wheel. 0 to 100 in the Hyundai i20N is 6.2 seconds. I'm not going to put the launch control on because it's been raining, but let's see what it feels like. I can imagine that the look of concentration on my face was quite intense then. That was a lot of fun. It just feels like real driving. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. And while I'm a big fan of EVs, they can't quite replicate that yet in one of those. It feels like Hyundai kind of gave an i20 to a bunch of teenage engineers and sort of said, you know, put everything on this you can imagine. And they've gone ahead and just gone crazy, and they've done it. I mean, this, you know, the N-Grin system with actual tracks in it and all of the information you could ever want here on these screens in front of you. The awesome sound. The big wing on the back. It's boy racer type stuff. I just want to say a big thank you to Hyundai Australia for continuing to bring the i20N into this country. I think it's actually a better car than the larger i30N, and for under 40 grand, you're not going to go wrong with this car. So if you get the chance to take one for a spin, don't miss out.